InfoPlus for genuine information.
Sponsored by
CEC, Canadian Education Council. Brighter tomorrow starts today.
DAV for life.
InfoPlus for genuine information.
Namaste and very warm welcome to InfoPlus on Himalaya Television. I'm a host, Mickevičienė. Today we are honored to be joined by Her Excellency Dina Mickevičienė, Ambassador of the Republic of Lithuania to Nepal, based in New Delhi. In this conversation, we'll explore her journey, Lithuania's growing engagement with Nepal, and the role of culture, cooperation, and shared values in strengthening these relations. Namaste and Lavas.
Namaste, Lavas.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
From a curious traveler to a distinguished diplomat, Her Excellency Dina Mickevičienė brings with her a rich journey shaped by culture, diplomacy, and global engagement. Currently serving as the ambassador of Lithuania to Nepal, she represents her nation with a strong commitment to strengthening bilateral ties and cultural exchange. Before entering the diplomatic service, Ambassador Mickevičienė built a diverse career spanning journalism, cultural management, and international relations. Her deep appreciation for culture and people has been a defining aspect of her work, something that resonates strongly in her commitment with Nepal. Excellency, Adam mentioned earlier that you were in Nepal a very long time back as a backpacker. So what changes did you find in Nepal?
I came as, in fact, backpacker, tourist, solo, young woman, traveler, but I was also a student of culture and art, so it was not just a backpacking trip, it was with a little, more intention of studying the culture. And it was still times of Kingdom of Nepal, so 98 and then 99, where I came and visited the Kathmandu Valley only, spending a lot of time in the museums and also studying iconography and religion. So this was definitely a long time ago.
Excellency, you seems to have a very close connection with Nepal since a very long time. And I even heard that you can sing Nepali song Musu Musu Hasi Deuna Lai Lai. Can you share with us a few lines?
If you help me, Rebecca, then I can. I actually learned it in India when I was a student, and it was a very popular song trending, a Hindi version. So I picked it up because it was everywhere. And much later, many years later, only I learned that it was in fact a Nepali song, and so I really don't know the Nepali version so much. But we can try if you help me. Musu musu hasi deuna lai lai, musu musu hasi deu. Musu musu hasi deuna lai lai, musu musu hasi deu. Yo maya lai mari deu, yo hirdaya cheri deu. Yo maya lai mari deu, yo hirdaya cheri deu. Musu musu hasi deuna lai lai, musu musu hasi deu. Musu musu hasi deuna lai lai, musu musu hasi deu.
You have a beautiful voice. Thank you so much, Your Excellency. A country she first experienced as a traveler and now engages with as a diplomat. With a dynamic background and a passion for building bridges, she continues to foster meaningful cooperation between Lithuania and Nepal.
As As a token of appreciation, I would also like to hand you a small gift. It's a book about the capital city of Lithuania, Vilnius, and the home perfume based on amber, because amber is Lithuania's gold. It's the amber that comes from the Baltic Sea, which has a very special fragrance. So I hope you will enjoy it.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. Thank you. So this is Lithuania's perfume.
It's a home perfume, so it's for your
alright.
house, which you can keep in your bedroom or the bathroom.
Alright.
It emits a fragrance of amber from the Baltic Sea.
Thank you so much for
And
your
this
love. Thank
has
you.
some nice photographs of my home city.
InfoPlus for genuine information.
Your Excellency, Namaste and Lavas.
Namaste and lavas.
Welcome back in Nepal. I believe it's been almost a year that we met last time. And Your Excellency, you have seen Nepal from two different lenses. As I know, you were here in Nepal few years back as a backpacker, and now as a diplomat you are representing your country, Lithuania, as an ambassador of Lithuania to Nepal. What has stayed the same and what has changed the most for you?
Yes, indeed. The first time I came here was 99. That was really ages ago, more than 20 years ago. And of course, the country was very different. It was still before the war. And much has changed, if you ask me. It's definitely a much more modern country now, and you see a very empowered youth in Nepal. That's where you see not just very many young faces, but you also see people who know their rights, their expectations, and you know that change that happened in Nepal also speaks to the fact that young people have asked for a major change in the country. But if you ask me what remains the same, it's still that same beautiful, wonderful, very culturally rich Nepal. It still hosts the most beautiful mountains of the world, the Himalayas. Of course, Himalayas are in several other countries, but I think Nepal has been and will remain the attraction point for the mountaineers, for the hikers and trekkers. And I have been very lucky. I not yet Annapurna, but Everest Base Camp, again quite many years ago, and it's definitely, it remains in my memories as the most beautiful trek, which was also very affordable in terms of my physical fitness abilities. So I always encourage people to go and explore mountains in Nepal, but also to never just limit Nepal to the mountains, because I think Nepal is also a wonderful diverse culture which has so much to offer. And Kathmandu Valley enough is an attraction point with 3 beautiful old towns in Kathmandu itself, in Patan and in Bhaktapur, where you are like in a dream place. It's a fairy tale experience, so different from anything else in any other country.
How does this journey feel for you?
It feels amazing. I very much remember when I came, I was a student in India at that time, studying history of Indian art and South Asian art. And I had already seen quite a lot of Indian subcontinent, but when I landed in Kathmandu and when I came to the Kathmandu Darbar Square, I was just, I was overwhelmed by something, what I saw. It was so different from anything and so special. So now last night I spent in the beautiful heritage home in Patan, old town, in the very heart of Darbar Square. And I had this morning walk, again with the same beautiful temples and the wood carvings. And I stayed in the old house, beautifully restored old house. And I really appreciate how you have managed to preserve it. And now it's really become a point of attraction. I recommend everyone to stay in those heritage homes, houses, apartments, which have all that very traditional beauty, which is so fragile because it's mostly wood. And I know it's been also destroyed in earthquakes, but so much resolve in restoring and keeping it for the future is really something I'd like to commend. And I think really the world needs that, that Nepal keeps it for everybody's enjoyment.
That's quite a beautiful journey, Your Excellency. Now let's go back to your backpacking days where it all began. When you look back at your backpacking days in Nepal, what memories and moments still feels this special for you?
For me, of course, when you are a traveler, a backpacker as you call, to me it was always very interesting to look beyond the nature. While I love mountains, I always say that Nepali mountains are very much alive. So, you may be at a high altitude, but you still feel the presence of people living here. The money stones or little prayer, water mills, and the prayer flags, and some small village, a monastery that you meet on your way to your peak, to your pass, really leaves very good memories. So, and I think I really had a very good crash course into the Buddhist iconography in Nepal specifically, because even in the old times when I visited the museum in the Kathmandu Darbar Square, I got a really good instruction there in the literature that was available of how to distinguish between different gods and goddesses and bodhisattvas, and a very good description. So for me, even that learning journey started in Nepal, which really is such a wonderful place where these two religions, Hinduism and Buddhism, meet in a very special way, and they really live together. Sometimes you cannot even separate what is Buddhist, what is Hindu, and there's so much beauty in that, basically that it's a human being who believes in the deity and over all protecting deity, but it is not so important how you define it.
It sounds like Nepal has left a mark on you, and it seems like you have a very personal connection with Nepal, Your Excellency. What is it about the country that is drawing you back here again?
I think what is very interesting today is how a country like Nepal, which is still very often considered to be a very traditional society, how it is coping with modernity. And the fact that, so many Nepalese live abroad now, and Nepal suddenly became a very connected country, not just because tourists come and go, but because many of your family members live abroad. So you make calls, you have to keep connected with your family members and friends abroad. And I think it's a very beautiful link that Nepal has with diaspora. Last year when we came, we met some of the businesses in Nepal which have been established by people who returned, who have got experience, who have probably saved up some investment and brought it back, and it's also a very beautiful link. See, Lithuania is also a very diasporic country. We are a 3 million country inside the country, but we have another over 1 million, maybe 1.5 million of Lithuanian language speakers abroad. So it is 1/5 of us which lives abroad, and Lithuanian government has also, has created the approach towards our own diaspora, how to engage people living abroad, who may always live abroad, but to keep them connected to back home, to the culture, also to the economy, to have them contribute to the development of the country. And while we have experienced pretty big emigration when the borders opened, especially when we joined European Union and people were able to go and work abroad, but after COVID we saw the trend changing. So while people are very free to go and get employed in a big number of other countries, the numbers of people coming back started exceeding the numbers of people leaving. So it's a trend which shows that ultimately many people prefer either to come back or at least to invest and sort of keep connected very closely with the back country. So I think, and I wish for Nepal to also get to that trend, because that allows country to be to keep the tradition, but also to be modern and engaged in the world, like we are. And I think that Nepal is probably moving in that same direction. We keep on hearing about how good how hardworking Nepalese people are abroad, and how we like to keep in touch, how they still prefer to be a closely knit community. So I think there's a lot of beauty in that.
That's wonderful to know. And if I may turn to your diplomat official duties, you are based in New Delhi and oversee Nepal. How do you manage and coordinate your diplomatic roles between Nepal and Lithuania?
Well, it is definitely not an easy task. We are a small country and a small embassy, and India is big enough to keep us very busy there. It's a very big country with economic power centers, not in Delhi. You have to travel a lot within India. I have another number of 5 countries to take care. So of course, I always feel that we cannot give enough attention to other countries to which I am accredited. But Nepal is uniquely positioned very close, in fact, to Delhi. So I realized yesterday, flying to Kathmandu, that it takes me longer to fly to Bangalore from Delhi than to Kathmandu. It's a very short flight. It's lots of flights are available. So I'm trying to keep it, as engaged as possible. If not me, then one of my colleagues in the embassy would be visiting Nepal from time to time. And we have already worked out the agenda, what we can do together. So yes, we are really trying very hard.
And during this important visit here in Nepal, since Your Excellency, you are based in New Delhi, how do you see Lithuania's role in strengthening its engagement with Nepal, particularly in development cooperation, trade, and cultural partnership?
Certainly, we really want to build solid relationship with Nepal. A couple of years ago, Lithuania adopted Indo-Pacific strategy. So it's a strategy document, taken and approved at the government level. It's a government strategy to engage countries in the Indo-Pacific region, based on not just mutual interest, but also on the common respect for rules of law, and UN Charter. So every democratic country in this region becomes very important, more important. We think that we should build relationships not just on business interests, because sometimes it can get tricky once. And as a free country, but the country which just fought very hard for our freedom, we know that freedom is priceless, and no economic short-term benefit should buy freedom. So Nepal, being a democratic country and remaining a democratic country, is a natural partner, because when I meet the Nepalese officials, we have a lot in common about the multilateral agenda, about multilateral cooperation in the United Nations, where we have had a lot of collaborations and mutual support for each other's priorities. And we are very grateful that Nepal, being relatively far away from a war that is happening in Europe, that is Russian war against Ukraine, has been very understanding on our concerns about the aggression, about how one big country violates the sovereignty of another country, claiming its territory and people, and inflicting so much pain. So Nepal has really shown a lot of understanding to that, for which we are very grateful. And generally, I think even today, when we discussed it with the foreign minister in a meeting, we saw we can do so much more, because we have an agreement on the basic principles. And then, of course, there are business opportunities. And then the third pillar, which I think is very important at this crucial moment in Nepal, is because Nepal has embarked on this very major transformation, and we have successfully undergone the transformation ourselves. So there is a lot we can share with Nepal.
And of course, diplomacy is not just about policy, it's about people and the culture as well.
Yes, definitely. I'm very happy to speak about the culture, because the excuse for my visit to Kathmandu this time is cultural event we have organized last night. 4 artists and the curators, so 5 women artists from Lithuania have brought the exhibition to Kathmandu, to Patan in fact. And it's a contemporary art exhibition of 4 textile artists, contemporary artists from Lithuania who have interpreted textile medium in a very different way, each of them, and displayed at an art studio gallery. And it is a very symbolic moment also, because textiles is, as I said, it connects us in a way. We might be far away, we are a flat country, you are a mountainous country, but climatically we have to protect ourselves from cold and similar climates, so our textiles have lots of resemblance. We are a lot into weaving warm clothes, like you. We have a strong wool felted tradition, so that is a commonality. So it's very beautiful how the artists brought traditional medium, like different types of textiles, and interpreted them in contemporary art, and how much resonance it has with local Nepali artists whom I met last night. So that's one thing. And the second big linkage we have traditionally is the fact that linguistically Lithuanian language is considered one of the closest sister languages of Sanskrit among living languages. So Lithuanian is a spoken language, it's a national language of Lithuania. But for some historical reasons it's been very archaic. It preserved those dinosauric features of the old languages, like Sanskrit. So we have lots of common words with Sanskrit, but also grammatical structure which is similar. And one of the artists, in fact, interpreted Sanskrit-Lithuanian connection in her art, in that exhibition, which is still on. So from the traditional historical linkages to the modern contemporary language of art, this is what has happened. I'm very happy. I also met Nepali artists last night who had been to Lithuania to various plein airs, and artists from Lithuania have come to Nepal before. So this is not a new thing. This is just a result of earlier connections and exchanges. And I think in any connection that you have, business is wonderful and technologies are great, but cultural links have to be there, because they warm people's hearts. They really, make us closer. The very fact that, speaking about that linguistic connection, the first PhD in Asia on Lithuanian Sanskrit linguistic connection has been defended in Tribhuvan University by Professor Raghunath Adhikari. So a Nepali professor is the first in Asia to actually have written the PhD paper on that. So lots of things to build on.
And lots of similarities.
Lots of similarities, and I think it only testifies to that we can do much more in the modern technologies and modern, like the area of economic cooperation.
As you mentioned earlier, that you will be attending important government meetings here in Nepal during this visit. So what areas of cooperation are you hoping to strengthen between Lithuania and Nepal?
I very much know that the government has just been put in place 2 weeks ago, so the government is really very busy formulating its priorities. It has a very strong commitment to the people after very good elections, which we have really congratulated as peaceful model elections. What we have discussed is how recent Lithuanian experience can help Nepal, because we come from quite a similar situation. When we emerged back on the map from the ruins of Soviet Union, our economy was in shatters. We were really poor, jobless, and looking forward to some solutions. The solution for us turned out to be the country with a very strong ICT orientation, which completely transformed our society. So the first thing the government put in place was excellent internet, and our internet, public internet, is one of the fastest in the world. Some year we are number 3, some we are number 2. So internet availability became one of the cornerstones on which all sectors could be developed. Second thing which we have achieved very prominently was an excellent framework for cybersecurity. Because with our neighborhood, cybersecurity was never a choice, it was an obligation, it was an existential thing for businesses, for society, for media to survive. We had a lot of threat from our big neighbor Russia, and it is the area the government and also businesses invested hugely, more than actually around 2 decades ago. So as a result, we are one of the best countries for cybersecurity, and we've been also our companies and the government has been really sharing that experience. So as a success story, we can say that it was Lithuanian companies selected in public tenders to implement, for example, the National Cybersecurity Center creation in Bhutan and in Bangladesh. There was no Lithuanian government pushing behind. It was purely very transparent. We just won the tenders. So I'm just saying that we are very good. We are successful as a country, and our companies can really do a very good job. Therefore, we have also engaged on cybersecurity with the government of Nepal, and based on your needs, now that you are, I guess, reassessing all the needs after the current changes, we'll be happy to again come back to sharing of our whatever we did well. The second big achievement is GovTech. Generally, our solutions have been really recognized around the world, and both the government but also companies have been providing those solutions to many countries, from Caribbean to East Asia. What we have discussed with representatives of Nepali government this morning is that Lithuania achieved, I think it's probably more than 95% of all government services online. Which means that a citizen almost doesn't have to go to government offices anymore. Everything can be done online. It's convenient, it's fast, it's of course something that promotes business, but it's also very good to fight the corruption, because you just deal with a computer system, you don't have to prompt anyone to help you, and it is also one of the gateways to achieve corruption-less society, for which we have, I think, very good results. Recently, OECD has recognized Lithuania as number 2 among the 70 or so countries they have evaluated for anti-corruption progress. So we have done, but as I said, we come from very similar, troublesome past like you are. So it's still the same generation in Lithuania which can and remembers how we did it. So we're here to really help you in this and other areas of digital transformation and economic transparency.
Your Excellency, and with that growing engagement, Nepal is strengthening its engagement with the European Union. Where do you see Lithuania contributing most within the border EU to Nepal partnership?
We would definitely like to be part of that drive, and I know European Union, we all collectively have been following the events and changes in Nepal, so we really look forward to engaging with the government of Nepal. First, you have to tell your needs so that we can come in where we feel we can. And in that European club or team Europe, we will be very happy to share the areas in our experience in the areas I've said in digital transformation. I think in skills, digital skills of society, because for the users to be able to use e-government services, you also have to upgrade the digital skills of the country. Cyber culture, cyber hygiene, sometimes it's called cyber hygiene, where citizens have to realize the dangers and possibilities in digital space. So together with other partners in the EU, we'll be definitely happy to respond to your needs that the government would ask us, to see how we can share experience. We also facilitate our businesses, trade and in services also. Digital services are very important source of income for many economies. So I would really see Nepal being able to, I know already, and last year we visited some IT companies in Nepal which have been very dynamic, part of global a digital, services pool. So I think we can build up on that, to really do a lot of more. We also in Lithuania we need talents, competent IT professionals who could also be part of our workforce. So lots of things we can do.
And with Nepal going through a new phase, do you see sectors like technology, renewable energy, education becoming the key priorities in this new phase of engagement?
Absolutely. I think these three pillars are definitely main directions of Nepal's transformation. Because to be able to create the digital economy, you have to have skilled people and also society ready to engage in digital means. And also I think this, climate fragility and challenges related to climate change are all very pertinent to everybody, but especially to Nepal, which is already earthquake prone, and you have climatic changes in the South Asia affecting the regions here. So definitely I think on clean transition and green transition and hydro and everything, we need to definitely engage more. One again good solution that we have implemented in Lithuania, and we are ready to share how we did it, was a few years ago, almost a decade ago, we implemented deposit system for plastic and glass bottles throughout the country, which had dramatically changed our plastic bottle pollution, where through the government centrally every bottle the customer buys has been taxed with an extra 10 cents. Which he or she pays at the time of purchasing, but then that's the amount he or she can reclaim by submitting back to the centrally located deposit, booths, terminals. And in a matter of 5 years, our bottle, plastic and glass bottle wastage reduced dramatically to almost like 90%. Okay. Which means that everybody is motivated to pick up the bottle and get it back to the assembly points, reclaim the 10 cents also. So even if someone who doesn't care so much throws it, there would always be someone who would pick it up and earn a little bit. It's an incentive for everybody to contribute to that society. So this is a unique system which we have implemented. Very proudly, I say we don't have any, plastic bottle waste lying in the country, and that's one of the possible ways also to engage with Nepal if you need that solution.
That will be a great initiation. Looking ahead with the new government in place, do you think this is the time to reset, and could it open a new chapter for the better relationship of Lithuania to Nepal?
Absolutely. I think this is a moment where the government is very busy, shaping the implementation of priorities. So we'll also be, very happy to discuss this.
On a personal note, Your Excellency, what is your vision for the future of Lithuania to Nepal relations?
I really want to look forward to a closer engagement, closer ties between the people. Closer sharing of technological know-how and students from Nepal doing research in Lithuanian laboratories, and especially creating together new solutions for both Himalayas and for our forests. For example, if you look at the technologies required for fighting the climate-related challenges. Creating digital products, which last year I was so impressed to see that my very favorite character from the movie Wednesday, from this Netflix series Wednesday, the Thing, was in fact designed in Kathmandu in that company we visited last year. So I think it's really inspired me a lot to see how you, watching a movie on Netflix, don't realize even where different pieces of that movie come. So I think we are, in fact, very strong in gaming industry in Lithuania. So definitely, I would be happy to see more Nepali talents joining that industry as well. So co-creating together for a better future in technologies. That's my dream.
For many young viewers who are watching you right now, you are someone who have worked across diverse culture. What life lesson has Nepal given to you, Your Excellency?
I think Nepal has really taught everybody resilience and hard working. So my message would be to keep up that, the traditional values, but embrace the modernity very boldly and confidently. And I think the result will be amazing.
And finally, Your Excellency, what message would you like to share with the people of Nepal about friendship, cultural actions, and future collaboration?
Well, my message to Nepali viewers would be to be open to changes, but to keep to your roots and to embrace the world coming to you very confidently. Keep up smiling because Nepali people are famous for warmth and smiles, which every visitor brings back. The memories of that every visitor brings back. So I would wish, generally, I really want to wish Nepal at the cusp of this changes, massive changes, all the consolidation and solidarity that is required for the nation to embrace the changes and create the changes together with the government.
Your Excellency, thank you and Achu. And thank you so much for sharing your insights with you on InfoPlus Himalaya Television.
Thank you. Dhanyavad. Hridayदेखि.
InfoPlus, for genuine information.
Your Excellency, thank you so much for sharing your insight, your experience, and also your personal connection with Nepal. It has truly been a pleasure speaking with you. And to our viewers, thank you for joining us on InfoPlus Himalaya Television. Stay tuned for more conversation that connect Nepal to the world. Namaste.
InfoPlus, for genuine information.